Welcome, everyone, to the Avengers podcast, where we talk Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and more. I'm your host, Peyton, and with me is my co-host, Torin, and we have a guest today.
And our guest is Will. How's it going?
It's definitely going. It's going amazing now that I'm here with you guys finally on this awesome podcast.
We're glad to have you, man.
Very glad.
I'm glad to be here. Hi, everyone. I'm Will. I'm the Star-Lord's biggest fan. And that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So this week we have a great show for everyone. This week we're going to be talking about MCU fatigue and sort of the fandom, surrounding that. So that'll be really interesting. But first, we of course have the news of the week. Not a ton of news, but we still got some exciting news. And if you want to jump around, like always, there's going to be time codes in the show notes or the description. So just look down there if you want to jump around. So let's get started with some Star Wars news. This is according to Bloomberg. The Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake has been indefinitely delayed. Developer Asper abruptly fired the two directors this month and told staff that the project is on pause as it tries to figure out what comes next. So that is disappointing.
Hurts me. It really does.
For me, that hurts me because it's already one of those projects that's like, for investment wise, it's kind of weird and risky because it's only really known by a niche group or like hardcore fans. And so like funding a huge remake of such a big game is already like, I don't think it's going to come out. Like at this point, I would be surprised if we get, a trailer in 5 years. Seriously.
Yeah, if it does come out, it's going to be a while.
Yeah, I was excited, but I kind of figured it looked like it was in development hell.
It seemed that way. It also seems like the two directors that were fired, I guess, showed the higher ups what they had been working on and where they were at, and I guess they weren't happy with it, so they fired him, which sounds pretty abrupt. But yeah, it's also possible that, because I believe two studios were working on this, so maybe they'll give it to maybe more of the support studio and they'll take it over so they don't lose as much time. But regardless, if it does come out sooner than later, I don't see the product being as good as it could have been, unfortunately.
I will say that is one of those games that was so huge for the time when it came out that remaking it and making use of the technology we have today, I think money wise, that's going to be super expensive to invest in, and I think you need a large and competent team to put that together. And I think I don't know, just like from the way it seems with the two studios coordinating together, it feels like kind of would be like one of the more difficult, bigger projects to coordinate upon, Yeah,
and it's a remake, not a remaster.
Yeah.
So the gameplay was probably going to be completely different. Like, obviously we don't know where they were going with it because we didn't have much information other than the fact that they were making it. So disappointing because everyone was really looking forward to that. But yeah, that is the Star Wars news. Moving on to some DC news, some pretty exciting DC news. Alan Horn, the old chairman of Disney that helped, turn Disney around during the early 2010s, has joined Warner Brothers Discovery as a senior advisor. This is fantastic news for DC because he was a lot of reason that a lot of the reason that the MCU even exists. Kevin Feige is obviously the spearhead of that, but Alan Horn, for a lot of that as well, he's a lot of the reason why that's a thing. So the fact that he's a senior advisor over at Warner Brothers Discovery, DC, they clearly don't know what they're doing. So I feel like Alan Horn is gonna, at least get it on track. It's not like he's going to be a Kevin Feige figure, but maybe he'll, as an advisor, be like, hey, you should probably get a Kevin Feige figure. But either way, this is great news for DC.
This is where I come in because I'd be that Kevin Feige figure. So
we can all be that Kevin Feige figure.
Yeah, no, dude, they should just give it to us.
You need to be kept in check.
I was gonna say Alan Horn was also already at Warner Bros. I don't know. He was actually involved when like the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yes, he was.
came out, and some of the best of Warner Brothers was under him. So it's great because I mean DC needs a win after showing two movies that are, while relatively exciting, I mean, that's Comic-Con. They failed Comic-Con. They really did, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, like what DC has is they have everything scattered around, and they have like, you know, the DCEU stuff, which some is whatever and some is exciting, like Shazam. But like, and then you have like the really good stuff like the Batman, and it's like, that's cool, that's great, in fact, but you gotta have some cohesion, and you can't just be, you gotta try your best to at least make everything a hit, you know.
I mean, when you have resources available like Henry Cavill, and you're not utilizing him to play the best superhero of all time, and he's the best cast we have right now. Besides, Tyler's doing an amazing job in Superman and Lois, which is probably the best DC thing on TV. There's definitely an issue when Deadline, who only reports pretty verifiable stuff, is like, hey, Henry Cavill might be at Comic-Con, and the buzz is Henry Cavill and he's not there, and that's what people are talking about. They're not talking about Black Adam, they're not talking about Shazam, they're talking about the lack of Superman, which is crazy.
And it's a multifaceted issue because Deadline reports it, and now fans have this expectation, and they get mad at Warner Brothers for not having a thing that they promised in the first place. And it's like their panel was bound to be a dud kind of regardless, because again, they didn't really have anything to show. But it's kind of harsh that fans are like, screw Warner Brothers for not having Superman there when that was never really promised. But also, something interesting that happened is the Weekly Planet podcast had an exclusive before, or not before, but their source essentially said, hey, Henry Cavill was actually supposed to show up, but he couldn't because he got COVID. And like 2 days later, or like 3 days later, it was reported that Henry Cavill had COVID. So it's like, there's like a little like, maybe he was supposed to be there and just couldn't make it. So,
well, I know that there was, I know that before the COVID news broke out, I know that he was just busy filming Witcher.
Yeah.
I remember he already had an excuse to not show up, and I was I wasn't expecting him to show up either, but it's just like, I think it is fair to get upset at Warner Brothers based on an expectation for something that wasn't promised. But I think it's pretty fair to be disappointed in the fact that, wow, like, dude, you have a character like Superman, like, and you're not using him.
Well, even outside of Superman, they have so many characters at their disposal and so many things that they're working on. You could have, like, even though like it just finished filming, you could have at least given like an official still of Blue Beetle. You could have given us maybe like a little sizzle reel, or maybe even some behind the scenes footage of Batgirl. Like, there were other things that they could have shown and decided not to. So it's not like, so I'm not saying like, you know, they can't get mad because Superman's not there, but, you know, specifically for like Deadline's report, but like maybe like confirm like the Batman 2 is being worked on, or like confirm the Joker 2 thing, or that you got Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, something, man. Something.
Yeah, and it makes it even worse that they didn't even confirm about DC fandom, which, like, I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen. Of course it's not gonna happen, because like if it was confirmed, it would have been confirmed months ago, and like they usually have it around October, and that's already coming up. So yeah, like there's so much they could have shown, like, well, both of y'all said, but I don't know what they're doing. So
last year, like, fandom was kind of like meh, and I kind of it was my understanding for a while that they pretty much weren't gonna do another fandom, which sucks. But like, if you don't have fandom with, like what Peyton was saying, with projects like Blue Beetle and Batgirl, and yeah, like, dude, saying the Batman 2 or Joker 2, you know, is happening is as easy as putting together a snappy little title card and saying it's coming. And that's literally, that would have been the Batman 2 or Joker 2. Those would have been some of the biggest announcements at Comic-Con, period.
Exactly. Like at the Marvel panel, they announced some of the stuff that was going to be in Phase 5 that we already knew about, but them just showing Echo's coming, and it's still like, yeah, like still just getting that confirmation, and like stuff that was already reported on that we're getting, like Captain America 4, like we knew that was happening, but you know, getting that confirmation, getting that title is still something and still exciting that DC easily could have done and just decided not to for really no reason.
Yeah, for me, it's like when it is something it is pretty, it has to be. I mean, like, look, I don't imagine there could be many legal issues because there were reports that the Batman 2 was greenlit so long ago at this point. Feels like forever ago. And I just like, it's as easy as just them doing it. So it's like, I don't, what incentive would they have to, I mean, maybe they really just have a lot of faith in Black Adam. And it's great that they're gassing it up so much because it's been in the works since like 2007 and has been in dev hell for, since 2007. Yeah. So it's like, and at least also The Rock is like a really good advocate for a lot of the things that fans want.
Yeah, he's clearly very passionate, which is always great. Yeah. But this conversation ties into the next DC piece of news. The DC panel being a dud, and the fact that Superman not being there got more attention just the past couple days or whatever. The thing that got even more attention than and more buzz and more whatever than the DC's panel, Ben Affleck is set to appear as Batman in Aquaman 2. Why say that at the panel? Imagine the reaction that would have got at that panel. But like, okay, so he is replacing Michael Keaton in Aquaman now that Aquaman is coming out before The Flash because Ezra Miller. So yeah, Ben Affleck is appearing as Batman now. Like what are you thinking, DC? Like the amount of attention that would have gotten at your panel would have been incredible. Like people would have almost damn near forgot about Superman if you said that shit. You know what I mean?
For real. It's like, oh no, Henry Cavill Batman. Like if I was WB, I'd be like, oh, like assume Henry was gonna show up. It's like, oh shit, we don't have Henry anymore. We'll just tell him Batman's happening. We'll just tell him Ben's back. It's just so funny that we found out in a picture and everyone is like drooling and like throwing their computers across the room and like screaming it in the streets. And it's for good reason. It's just like the fact that Warner Brothers isn't capitalizing on this clear passion that people have for these things that they want. It's like rejecting money. It's insane to me.
They're really fumbling like bags, like so badly.
And that's why it's so exciting that Alan Horn is on board again.
Seriously.
Yeah. I was already like super on board with the merger. I was super on board with what's his name? Alan Zaslav. What's his name?
Soslov. I think
Soslov, yeah, not Alan. Oh my gosh, Alan Horn's so many, but Soslov, yeah. I know he was saying things like amazing things, like, oh yeah, we plan to fully utilize characters that have been, in his words, left to languish,
like Superman,
yeah. And it's like, dude, that's awesome. And I understand a lot of it right now is just there's so much stress in like purging the old, putting in the new. And like reorganizing the structure still, because it's such a fresh merger. But I would imagine once everything kind of falls into place, DC will be hopefully good. But that Comic-Con was definitely confusing.
Absolutely. DC, I mean, they should have been at Marvel's level years ago.
They could be over. They could be better.
Absolutely. And they need to be at that level because Marvel needs competition. I'm loving what they're doing right now. but they need competition. Everyone needs competition just to, push themselves to do better. And with DC just fumbling at all times, they're just they have no reason to feel threatened.
Yeah, and I mean, and I know we're going to get into it later, but yeah, no, I'll save those thoughts for the topic when it comes up. I think when we talk about it.
Yeah, Tori, you have anything else to add?
No, I just want them to be better.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, like you said, like Marvel has like no reason to try, and it's like, they're pushing all these projects and stuff like that, but it's also just, it sucks for the fans who genuinely enjoy both. And like, I just remember like, being like, younger when the DCEU was like, just being made, and it's like, wow, like now we can have both Marvel movies and DC movies, like something that just we've been wanting to have for so long. And like to see the DCEU, decline, it's just sad, because like what both y'all said, there's just characters out there that just haven't been like utilized, such as Batman and Superman, and like there's so many other potential for characters that could have been on screen, like such as like Green Lantern, who was supposed to be in Zack Snyder's Justice League, but got replaced by Martian Manhunter, which I mean, all over Martian Manhunter, but it's still one of those things that like, we could have gotten so much more, but we just haven't yet because, of just pure incompetency.
It's really crazy. It's just like, dude, and this is going to be a hot take. I Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition, is in my top 5 comic book movies of all time. I think it's a masterpiece. I think literally the DCEU, up until like around that point, and then after, it's just been kind of a decline. They've of course had hits. They've also had they've had hits that are like successful story wise and box office wise, and they've had ones that are only successful in the box office, and then they've had ones that are hated by everyone. It's just like, I feel like, imagine the hype for like, can you just imagine if they just let, there's a lot of problems with this side of the fandom, and I don't want to like get, too Snyder culty or anything like that, but I love Zach and his vision. If they just let him do that, and then also, because there's nothing stopping them, Zach even said that like they could just do their own versions of these characters, or just do whatever they wanted with. They have characters like a Booster Gold. Like,
exactly. I love Booster Gold, man.
Like they could do so much. And they're like, no, don't do Jon Stewart because we're doing a Hal Jordan show. It's like, what are you talking about? Where the hell is that? Where is it? I'd like to know where your Green Lantern show is.
And it's like, yeah, there's no like reason not to do both, because people love both. Like, yeah. Like, and just like what Peyton said, just what both of y'all said, like, y'all are like losing money. Like, there's so much that like, they can do. Like, it's just, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's just like, why at this point?
It sucks because you have two sides of the coin. It's like you have one company who's like too big to fail, and that's why they're kind of bombarding us with content that, rush deadlines and things like that could be way better. And then on the other side, you have a company that has so much room to improve, and they have all of the resources to do so, and it's laying right in front of them in their laps, and they're just looking the other way, like completely ignoring it completely. Like, people will say, oh, I want Ben Affleck back as Batman. It would be nice if we got an announcement. They would and that was on like a note card. They would look under the note card, and then they'd see like a little fine print on the bottom right corner that nobody gives a shit about, and that's what they report on. That's the thing that they focus on. So like, I don't understand.
Me neither, man. It's just insane.
You know what else I don't understand? This next piece of news, because we're moving on to Marvel. There is an open world Black Panther game in early development, which sounds exciting, but yeah, it's developed by EA. So
Dude, it's loaded though. It's loaded though because it's like they have a track record, but EA, man, you know what? Let me pull up some stuff because we got
yeah, it's not like
Fallen Order
yeah,
under them.
we got Fallen Order. Apex Legends is popular.
And they're both by the same studio, Respawn.
Yeah, true.
Respawn's doing all the work for EA right now.
Yeah, true. So maybe Respawn should do the game. So
yeah, good EA games. Let's Google this, shall we, guys? The Titanfall, that's Respawn. Dragon Age is good. So yeah, they did Dead Space is
Battlefront 2 is good now.
Oh, dude.
It was on launch. It was awful.
Battlefront 2 now, before they canceled it, before they left it to die, which is so sad. It was my favorite Star Wars game. It was my favorite one.
It's so good. Torn and I still play it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I want to play with y'all.
Hell yeah.
Hit me up.
I'm about to go play it after this, bro.
Dude, hit
Man.
me up, dude. I'm
Bro.
the best Count Dooku main. That's me.
Bro, Count Dooku main.
So
I've been seeing a lot more of Count Dooku, and holy shit, he's nasty. He's nasty.
you play with us. We don't have to play with randoms anymore.
Yes.
Finally, because oh my dude, it's so like sad, whatever. Like, because I'm a Han main, and like I get like easy like 17,000 score, but like I still lose the match because like, my team is just bad.
Yes. I know the struggle. I'm rusty. I was good with it was Anakin, Dooku, and Lando. And then yeah. Those are my guys.
I'm always Kylo, Iden, Luke, or Anakin.
Now, dude, Kylo and Luke are so fun. They're so fun to play.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan's too defensive for me. I'm such an aggressive, offensive player. That's why Dooku's perfect. But like Obi-Wan is just, for me, super clunky.
Yeah, that's how I feel about him too. And like I can not because of like just like him overall, but I just don't like his like play style. I think he's just one of the worst sabers in the game to me, just because like of how like how he is.
Wait,
like,
so
I find him just not interesting.
I agree. But Payne, is that Black Panther game? Is that where's that? Oh no, never mind. Everyone's reporting on this. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's, dude. I mean, that's exciting because you know what? I hate the Avengers game, but playing as Black Panther is kind of fun. A little bit.
It's kind of fun. I mean, it's a shit game, but I mean, it's a little bit.
It's he has a cool move where he like does the little homing jump and he like tackles them. That's fun. That moves like that are fun. But I don't know. A whole Black Panther game would be great because and I understand why. I still think that I don't know how controversial this would be. I still think that they could recast T'Challa respectfully. But like right now, we're not really getting a lot of T'Challa in the future. And so this would be cool.
Well, like as well, Pay and I were saying on the last podcast is that like casting 1616 or Earth 199999 T'Challa is not it, but if they added a multiversal version of a variant would be nice.
Exactly. Yeah. Same with Hulk for me. I think that they could do an immortal Hulk, but not with our current that we have now. And I would love a monster devil Hulk with like a tortured Bruce, but I can't see that happening with what we have right now.
Yeah, I feel that.
But yeah, so like I'm just worried about because it's like they have a good track record with Respawn. I don't know if I trust anyone else.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's a whole thing, man. It's even Fallen Order was unpolished, to a degree, but it was still amazing. And I know EA, I know that they did it out of obligation. They were like, oh, people are pissed that we said single player games are dead, and they poked the hornet's nest again. I don't know if y'all saw this.
Oh, I saw it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he's a 10, but he likes single player games. What a fucking shit show, dude. That's insane. What are they on? What are they on? That's insane.
The Warner Brothers of the gaming space.
Seriously. Oh man. I mean, I think there's more than that in the Warner Brothers of the gaming space. I mean, dude, Ubisoft. Oh, excuse me. Something in my throat there.
I feel like Ubisoft's more Sony.
Yes. No, you're right. Ubisoft is Sony because like they got some bangers. Like the new Pirate game actually looks pretty cool that they're doing. But I know we're talking about everything other than the Black Panther game. There's
nothing really to talk about. It's just, hey, a Black Panther game's in development, and it's at EA.
Do y'all remember the speculation? It was reported on by trades as well. Was the Mando game that people were thinking was being made? I know it was like more iffy than this, I think, but I remember.
I do vaguely remember that. I don't know if that'll. I know. I believe. God, I don't remember who it was with, or what developer or whatever. But I know Amy Hennig is back. Who was the lead for the 1313 canceled Star Wars game, is back doing another Star Wars game, which hopefully won't get canceled. So that's exciting, but I don't know if that is going to be related to the Mando game that was rumored. I don't know, but Amy Hennig's sick, so.
No, I mean, Uncharted is my favorite game series of all time, and I know she wasn't attached for 4. That's my favorite game of all time, but Amy Hennig is fantastic. She's such a fantastic creative, and like the fact that we're eating pretty good Star Wars game wise. I think we're going to be eating pretty good.
Yeah, speaking of Uncharted, I just finished Uncharted 4 for the first time.
Phenomenal! It's phenomenal, right?
It's so good.
Dude, oh my god. I play the game once a year, every year. I grew up playing Uncharted. Uncharted 4, that game's narrative, character dynamics, and like that game is thematically so like wholesome, and it's like a warm hug. I don't know. I love Sam and Nate just so much.
I don't know how I didn't get spoiled for 6 years. Like I knew some stuff. I'm
glad you didn't.
But yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know anything.
Yeah, and that game visually also still holds up so well. It's gorgeous.
Did you watch the videos of Nolan North and Troy Baker playing the Uncharted 1 and 2?
Yeah, it sucks that they split up.
I know, it's so painful.
But I mean, Troy Baker's doing NFTs now. It's fine.
I think he stopped.
Good. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he got a bunch of shit, and he was like, "Okay, fair enough."
Good. Yeah, because I love Troy Baker. I mean, dude. Again, he's my Jason Todd. He's an amazing Telltale Batman, super underrated. One of my favorite Batman stories.
Joker in Arkham Origins.
Yeah, he's
Two-Face.
Troy Baker's amazing. He's amazing. And then
Nolan North is phenomenal as well in his own right.
He's still, and I love Ryan Reynolds, but he's still my Deadpool. He's my Deadpool. Steve Bloom is my Wolverine, and that's who I hear when I read the comics.
I don't know if I hear anyone when I read Wolverine the comic. Like I don't think I hear Steve Bloom or like Hugh Jackman.
Dude,
I don't know what I hear.
Steve Bloom is, for me, he's so amazing. He's just so. I hope they cast him for the PS5 game because he's so animalistic, and his Berserker screams they give me chills. Like they're so good. They're so good. He's the perfect Wolverine and a voice. But yeah, I don't know. That's just me. I'm a Marvel animation video game like elitist.
What's the other news we have? Is that it?
No, that's not it.
Okay.
There's like 4 more pieces. Well, the next piece of news is that Spider-Punk is confirmed to appear in Across the Spider-Verse. So that's going to be interesting.
Badass. Hope Superior is also going to be in there.
I want Superior in there. We just don't get enough Superior, in my opinion.
He's amazing.
Agreed. I'd love to see Ben Reilly.
I want to see Kane so bad too. Kane is also so underrepresented. Like
seriously,
he's so badass.
Across the Spider-Verse is going to be... They have a lot to live up to.
No, yeah, it's going to be bonkers. I mean, it's such a revolutionary movie for the animation industry because it just showed everyone that they didn't have to be so visually homogenous and the same. Like every movie looked this. I remember going to theaters and I'm like, oh my God, movies can look like this. Like, of course they can. It's just like Disney's just the same as they've always been. DreamWorks does the same as they've always had, you know.
Pixar is switching it up recently, which is good.
Thank God.
It's been very samey for like almost a decade.
Yeah, and I hate being so reductive, you know, but you can't deny how homogenous animation has been for so long.
Absolutely.
I think Spider-Verse broke that mold for sure.
Yeah, and now everyone's trying to like sort of replicate it. You get like the Bad Guys. I think that movie that just came out is sort of Spider-Verse-y. Mitchell's versus the Machines doesn't really count because that was still by Phil Lord or Chris Miller, so that's kind of like their thing.
Yeah,
but yeah, the animation world is sort of following suit, which, you know, thank God. But I also hope all the animation doesn't just start turning into Spider-Verse.
That's the issue with like entertainment under like capitalism or whatever. It's like you got to make money, and these people are making money doing this. We're gonna learn the wrong lessons. That's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah, that's exactly how it goes. But yeah, that's Spider-Verse. Next piece of Marvel news is, according to the Illuminati, it's rumored that Olivia Coleman will be playing Union Jack in Secret Invasion.
Illuminati, how? Just a genuine question, not trying to throw shade. How reputable are they nowadays?
They got shit on by James Gunn once. But as far as like their reputation goes, I think that's the only like thing that they kind of got smacked for. But I think generally they're pretty consistent.
No, Gunn shits on. I mean,
Grace he shits on everyone, which is great.
Yeah, no, it's nice. I know he recently he shot on Grace. Union Jack being played by a woman is pretty cool. I don't know. I don't really have are people upset?
I don't know, because it's like, if they are, I'd question if they even know who Union Jack is. It's like, are you aware of this, or are you just mad because you hear that they're gender bending a character?
Yeah.
He's in the Guardians game recently. He's a character in that. You can find him in the Nova Corps brig and do like a little side thing for him. It's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know what they're gonna do with that in Secret Invasion. I don't know what to expect from Secret Invasion, but I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
I don't know.
I heard it's gonna be more of a darker tone and a thriller, and I'm like, yeah, sign me up. I don't
Yeah, I'm definitely hype. It's like, you know, if Armor Wars isn't on the slate in the next whatever, that's fine. I mean, Secret Invasion seems like it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah. But next piece of Marvel news, Kevin Feige says Fantastic Four will not be an origin story. He said, quote, "A lot of people know this origin story. A lot of people know the basics. How do we take that and bring something that they've never seen before?" So it sounds like they're going to do kind of what they did with Spider-Man in the MCU. Yeah.
And so I actually like that. And people need to start having a fucking boner for origin stories. But someone who I follow on TikTok say that, like, if they were to not do like an origin story, they should just adapt the Fantastic Four from the Mark Waid run. Pretty much just like give like their origin through like fucking PowerPoints from like whenever they're like lost in space or whatever, which is cool.
Yeah, if you're gonna do an exposition dump, at least make it really fun and cute.
Yeah, you know? So I'm all for it. I mean, I'm just happy to get Fantastic Four in general. I hope by next month, D23, or just soon, we have like a casting for it, like, or at least, you know, a casting for it. I also heard that like the actor who plays like Doctor Doom like had some scenes finished in like Wakanda Forever or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how.
I heard
Not
that
sure anything about that.
they had scenes filmed, but they actually hadn't cast him yet. So that's just like a stand-in, and they'll like cast later and then do a voiceover.
Yeah,
That's what I heard.
But I mean,
Murphy. I really hope it's Cillian Murphy.
you hope it's
He'd be
Cillian Murphy?
fantastic. I know a bunch of people are like, "Oh, Anthony Starr." I'm like, no,
No.
Oh, dude! Now that I'm hyped for him. Hopefully he's Dracula. Hopefully that's still real.
Yeah, that's the rumor I heard. That's great. He's such a good actor.
I love Giancarlo Esposito, but I think he's being typecast.
Yeah, he's being typecasted everywhere. He's being fan casted everywhere. I mean, which is fine. I mean, I like the fan cast, but it's not like most likely not going to happen
because he's fantastic in everything he does. But yeah. I think I assume we're talking about Doctor Doom, Giancarlo as Doctor Doom. Yeah, I think his talents would fit better elsewhere.
I think it would be interesting to just, I don't know, because that guy's sure to have an amazing range. Like I know the rumors of him as Professor X were exciting to me personally. I hearing those rumors, was like, oh, if he were to be Professor X, I would be down for that, because I could imagine him as like a gentle, stern, sort of like father/mentor figure.
Yeah, it'd be nice to him to not be the villain for once.
Yeah, for sure.
Good. He's so good at being the villain.
He is.
But like, people need to stop getting so like, they're so bricked up. They're just like, oh man, he's a villain. He's so good.
He'd be great as Lex Luthor.
He would be a fantastic Lex Luthor.
He already is Lex Luthor in the Harley Quinn animated show.
That's right. I was literally gonna say I love that show. Also, it's finally season 3 time.
Yeah, season 3. The first 3 episodes dropped, and it's great so far.
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen the first 3 episodes yet.
It's good. That's all I'll say.
What a great show! Also, what a surprise how good that was.
Right? I like when it came out, I was like, a Harley Quinn animated show would be interesting. But then it's like Kaylee Cuoco got cast, and I was like, Kaylee Cuoco, what? Penny from the Big Bang, huh? And then like the little teaser came out, and I was like, I don't know if I like this. And then the series actually came out, and I was like, nah, this is cool.
Because it was during the trend of, it's during the trend of like that Rick and Morty and Brickleberry started, of like, let's just do really low effort adult animated comedies and sitcoms. And I'm so sick of that shit. I'm so sick of that scene. And I kind of roll my eyes. I'm like, okay, like we're getting an adult animated Harley Quinn show. I love Harley, but let's see. And then you see Alan Tudyk as Joker, and he's amazing. And then he's also Clayface, and he's amazing. And then the story is surprisingly really emotional.
King Shark, the best character of all time.
He's amazing. And
howdy.
He's cast. They're all cast so well, and it made me think like, dude, Alan Tudyk is also. I love Doom Patrol. That's so underrated. No,
massively
underrated. People seen it.
Oh my god, I love Doom Patrol, bro. Brendan Fraser in that. Oh my god,
dude, everyone so cast. It's cast so well. Oh my god, it has me frazzled. I just love that show so much. It's like Alan Tudyk though is such an amazing actor. He was great in Doom Patrol, and I don't know, dude. Warner Brothers they have a bunch of amazing actors at their disposal, Also, Kaylee Cuoco, she's like a surprisingly great Harley Quinn.
Yeah, never would have expected that. It's like, because when it was first revealed, and it's like she's not doing the voice, and it's like that's so synonymous with Harley Quinn. I was like, but you get used to it pretty quick.
Well, back to Fantastic Four, I was gonna say. And I'm sure, man, Fantastic Four is super special to me. I hope they do something on the level of Jonathan Hickman's run.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. I wanted to also see like what they could, if they could adapt part of Hickman's run. Which Peyton, didn't you get Fantastic Four Hickman's run, or was that a Hawkeye?
I'm planning on getting Hickman's run.
Oh,
You got Fraction's Hawkeye run?
I do have the entirety of Matt Fraction's Hawkeye run. I do, yeah.
Dude, and I remember because I read that when it came out, and I was obsessed. And I was like, dude, if they did something based on this, and they did, and it was actually really good,
it's so good
and enjoyable. It's just, and it's a phenomenal book. And David Aja is an amazing artist. It's so He's
it's
so
simplistic,
purposeful.
but so striking. Like,
Yeah.
it's so, yeah, his art is beautiful.
His panel work is I like.
It's like reading a movie.
Yes, no, it's awesome. It's very cinematic. It's very like it's almost like Gonzo. You know, it's like old. It's almost pulpy, especially the Challenger chase, which is such a great scene. And I love Clint just drinking black coffee out of the pot and little things like that. It's just awesome. But dude, I know that one of the lineups in the future is Secret Wars, and I know we're gonna get into this, but like, there's not enough time for that Secret Wars to be the one that I think we want, and for it to be good. If Fantastic Four is a year away from
It's
it.
always going to be small. Like, I mean, like Civil War was the scale of Civil War, and obviously
smaller.
Yeah,
but no. But my thing with Secret Wars is like the core of the book was Reed and Doom, and like
pretty much,
it's the end. It's the finale to that feud. That's like, I kind of personally. And I don't want to, and I'm not going to judge it for what I expected it to be, obviously, but I personally, it's just, well, now I'm not sure which Secret Wars they're really adapting, or maybe both, but it was I figured they would have done like a super long plan to get to the next saga cap instead of, oh, we're going to have this many phases in like 3 years, and this saga will be over.
I think they're just borrowing the name. It's just like, hey, multiversal war, therefore we'll call it Secret Wars. I think as far as like the Doom stuff, I think that's going to be saved for something else, and they'll just call it something different.
Hopefully so, because God Emperor Doom that is just orgasmically good. Let you know, that is just, there's nothing better villain wise, in my opinion.
It's like we're just getting introduced to Doom, and I think their main focus right now as far as big bads is Kang. So I think I think that'll be saved. But
you're right.
Speaking of all that stuff, the next piece and last piece of Marvel news is Destin Daniel Cretton is set to direct Avengers: The Kang Dynasty.
Let's fucking go.
Super exciting.
I know that is amazing.
That is the biggest fucking dub that we've had in a long time regarding directors and stuff. If there's no news that Brad Bird is directing Fantastic Four, at least Destin Daniel Cretton is doing Kang Dynasty.
It's like I want the Russo brothers to do Secret Wars, but it's also like, or even the Kang Dynasty, but it's like, I didn't, when Kevin Feige was like, yeah, the Russo brothers isn't going to direct either, it was like, okay, either they're going to get them later for Secret Wars, but it's like, who are they going to get? And Destin Daniel Cretton didn't even cross my mind. But when the report came out that he was directing it, I was like, perfect. That's it. You got it. Like, the action's going to be, man, that's so exciting.
I can't wait for that. I literally, it's going to be so badass. I'm so excited.
Yeah. But that's it for the news, which means it's time to move on to our topic, which is MCU fatigue and the fandom and all that.
Big one. The big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. Yeah. Dude, so like, I don't know, man. I thrive off negativity, so I think this is going to be easy for me.
Yeah.
Pei and I always look at comments, and that's like just our...
I'm trying not to. I'm trying my best.
And... yeah, like it's funny because I literally saw a TikTok like about this, like literally like before I was about to go to sleep at like 3 a.m. But overall, yeah, like just the fandom is just, fandoms right now in general are just super duper toxic, and unfortunately, I think it has something to do. It has something definitely to do with TikTok. I'm definitely blaming TikTok for this, and the TikTok. Comic book creators, Comic Talk, who they don't even talk about comics. They never picked up a comic in their life.
Leak culture, for sure, also.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's just, it's also one of the things where it's like, while these projects were good, Endgame and WandaVision, also No Way Home, I feel like those are the sole perpetrators of just the fandom at this moment in time. Because, people just expect these really big projects, or like how Marvel needs to be bigger and better every single project. And
if it's not as big as Endgame, then it's garbage.
Yeah, and then like, and definitely WandaVision was the tipping scale of that, because it was just the start of Phase 4, and every week just someone had like an expectation of how the episodes would go.
Mephisto,
and yeah, there's the Mephisto effect on that show, and like because of how
and the people butthurt over Ralph Boner is still so funny. Like, who gives a shit? Like, I'm sorry that you expected Mephisto in your show, but
yeah, and like we're not going to get Mephisto anytime soon. Like we're not going to see him anytime soon. But it's also just a sole fact of how, because these fans wanted the episodes to go that way and it didn't, because at the end of the day it's just a theory. Them getting mad is just like very, very childish, and like they're definitely the types of people to throw tantrums. And yeah, we're definitely spoiled by No Way Home. Just the sole fact of cameos and stuff like that. It's just very sad to see, because like it ruins like the enjoyment for everybody else. And because of all that stuff happening, we've been introduced to the most overused word in the 21st century, which is mid. I hate mid so much. I hate the word.
We were talking about that the other week, I remember.
Yeah, I hate that word. It needs to be banned from the English language. And also, because of all this stuff happening, it just leads to every project by the fandoms not having a lack of faith for the upcoming projects. Because them having the projects not being released, they're just gonna call it mid, or they're gonna be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna watch it," blah blah blah, and it's just it gets very annoying very fast. And there's also just multiple comments of just how Marvel and Disney are they're making quantity over quality stuff, and it's just like, we talked about it last week about how there is a rush of just VFX crunch, and like a crunch of everything else because of COVID. But I feel like that doesn't really ruin the enjoyment, at least for me. But people just like to hate on they want to hop on the hate train, which is very, very sad to see.
Yeah, the VFX whole thing, it's like, it sucks for the VFX artists, the crunch, and Marvel not necessarily being the greatest employers. But as far as like the storytelling goes, relatively poor CG has never really bothered me. If it's like horrendously bad, then I'm kind of like, whatever. But like when people like take like this single kind of bad frame from a movie and they go on Twitter and they're like, $200 million movie is this garbage or whatever. Like the scene from Black Widow with Yelena and the whole black. It's like, why are you mad about? It's like it's like not even. It's like 15-second scene. That makes no sense to me. But going back to sort of the WandaVision era, the biggest issue, not only with like theory culture, it's also it even stems back to Endgame. A lot of people's issues with Endgame, specifically with Captain America, is people's headcanons and what they expect to happen and what they want to happen. If they don't get what they want, then they don't like it, which is wild to me. I mean, the Russos have talked about it before in interviews and stuff, how it's, and it's common sense. It's impossible to please everyone, which is, accurate, and but they still want to please everyone that they can, but you're always going to piss someone off. It's like they gave Captain America such a perfect ending, and people were like, "Oh, but Bucky or whatever," and it's like a lot of the issues that they come up with in their heads that because it's not what they wanted can easily be remedied by just creating another headcanon. It's like it's open ended, and like it's meant to be open, and like create your own future for Captain America in that other universe or whatever, in the past, whatever. And when it came to like WandaVision and stuff, people expecting like the multiverse and Ralph Boner and Mephisto, and it's like, let's chill out. Like, this is what people are, the argument now is, and it's true, is that this is the building phase, and people expecting like this gigantic like event in the building phase is weird. The only one that makes sense is Spider-Man No Way Home, and that's, you know, the build up to Doctor Strange, and, you know, it's the third Spider-Man film. Obviously it has to, you know, be an event somewhat in that regard, but other than that, like, what are you expecting out of fucking Eternals? You know?
So I do have some stuff that, because I agree with everything you're saying, but I think that there's also, on the other hand, there are totally 1,000,000% such valid criticisms too. Like I'll give, for example, my biggest disappointment with Phase 4 so far is Wanda's arc, and how they even admitted in Multiverse of Madness that they didn't watch WandaVision. It's like there are things to critique. It's like, okay, Wanda is such an exciting character. You're bringing so much humanity to someone in WandaVision who's just, she's lost everything. And then, you know, she learns a lesson, and though, yes, that third act was big and messy and would have been served better by being a little more intimate. Which is, I feel, also a pretty fair pattern to recognize for most of the Marvel stuff currently as well. But, you know, she learns her lesson, and then, you know, we're in Multiverse of Madness, and like, oh yeah, I didn't learn any lesson. Also, basically just the same arc but worse, and she's relegated to the hysterical mother stereotype. And I haven't really played the misogynist card really in Phase 4 at all, or in Marvel for a while, but like that film, the female characters were, you know, you had America Chavez, and she was a MacGuffin. She was just an Infinity Gauntlet. You had, or Stone, and you had Rachel, who was just kind of there for like she's introduced halfway, and she was kind of there for Steven to get over his, and she didn't really have very much to her own character. And then you have Wanda, and she has an arc, but it's lazy, and like Steven's arc is amazing in that film, but it's like, you know, I feel like and this stuff kind of carries through. It's like another thing to point out, you know, while this is a building phase, I think also it's still important to have a singular, consistent vision and idea of what the multiverse is. And when the Loki writer writes Multiverse of Madness, and Loki is set up to be this huge giant catalyst for the multiverse, kind of getting fucked up, and that's kind of like ignored, and then there's a different interpretation of the multiverse entirely in Multiverse of Madness. It's like, it's not even consistent at this point. So I understand some of the frustrations of the MCU currently, and especially considering the fact that we have more content hours wise in Phase 4 than we have in the past 3 combined. But I will also say everything wrong now is totally fixable, and is totally like, it's like Phase 2. Like I don't even think this is as bad as Phase 2 really altogether. But Phase 4 could be retroactively made better by, in the future, in Phase 5 and 6, like we're paying off some things that you didn't even understand were setups, or this character work in this is, you know, being paid off here. But I'll wrap it up. I know I'm hogging a lot of time, but it's just like, even in the shows that are, I feel like it's the fact that there's so much content so close together. We have movie 1 month, show another, a movie another, a show another, and then like even you know, She-Hulk is coming up next, and then after that, just to fill in a movie gap. Well, you know, there's that, but then there's No Way Home, extended edition. They're just throwing it in theaters.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's where they're shoving all the deleted scenes that they promised fans in the Blu-ray, and sneakily remove the content from the disc, and then are like, hey, go to theaters and see it here. And they're just like, oh my God, I can't. It's so hard for me to get so excited, because I love the period where it was like 2 movies a year, and it was like, oh wow, or like three, or I could get with 2 shows and 2 movies a year, but oh my god, man, I'm getting smacked across the face with this shit, and I'm getting kind of tired.
Yeah, and and the thing is with MCU fatigue, like, um, yeah, we were saying like, you don't have to watch all this content, right? You can't take your time and stuff. But I'm actually glad that you brought that up about like, arcs, like, especially like Wanda's arc, stuff like that, and how things could be fixed, with the upcoming phases. And that's why Peyton and I said that in hindsight that this would be a good phase. And so yeah, I'm really glad that you brought that up because they still have time to pay things off.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say like, yeah, because the two best examples of in hindsight is Iron Man 3 and Age of Ultron. Those movies,
yeah,
much
for sure.
better with age. Like, I mean, they're really great movies now, and but like when it comes to like the Multiverse of Madness stuff, I personally love Multiverse of Madness. I love WandaVision. I was confused at first with that kind of stuff, but now I think it's more fascinating how it's the way like people interpreted WandaVision that like almost like dictates whether or not Multiverse of Madness is like or like cool as far as Wanda goes. So I think that's fascinating, and that's art, right? It's just it's just whatever your interpretation is, and it's like it's kind of unfortunate that it can like bleed through to other things, but that's just kind of the nature of a cinematic universe. But when it comes to like all this MCU fatigue, I'm loving all the content there, but you like you were saying, it's not bulletproof. I was not a huge fan as much as I wanted to be. I was not a huge fan of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It just kind of fell flat for me. There was like elements in the show that I really loved, and I really, really, really wish they did more with. But ultimately, I thought it fell flat. But so yeah, it's not bulletproof, but yeah, like it's a building phase. It can easily get better with age. But yeah, I like all the new content. I'm more concerned as far as like the amount of content. I'm more concerned about the VFX industry because it's a lot of stuff, and it's less. I believe that they can hire the right directors and writers to do all that stuff, and we can get into like the 6-episode format later. I mean, Torn and I have talked about it today. But like I believe that they can hire the right people as far as the creative side goes. But yeah, as far as like actually producing it, that concerns me. Yeah,
for sure. And like and there's always like the thing is about like us Pay and I, we generally enjoy like a lot of things, and of course, we always have things I like or that like we have a gripe with, and there's always going to be valid criticisms, and like one of these things is like the VFX crunch, and unfortunately, there is a thin herd of VFX artists because it's just a very, very daunting and overwhelming task to do. It's crazy because like I was talking to a friend yesterday and she was telling me how like a VFX company was blacklisted by Marvel because they couldn't do something in the certain amount of time.
It's abusive. It's an abusive industry.
It is right now. For sure. And with all the content coming out, I would definitely would love like breaks, and I was talking to somebody saying how like, well, it was different in the beginning phases because like that was when the MCU was just starting out, but it's also one of the things where it's like the MCU has gotten so big to the point where like they're just gonna want to keep pumping out all the content as they can. And it's also one of the things where like we were also saying, Peyton and I were also saying that like this is a plan and things can change. Who knows? Secret Wars can get fucking delayed to like 2028 or some shit. I don't know. Something can happen.
Yeah, it's like 6 months apart right now, but they could be like, actually, it's Kang Dynasty in 2025, Secret Wars 2026. So
Yeah, and yeah, like, and it's also one of the things to where it's like, yeah, like, going back to what I was saying, like there's gonna want to keep pumping out as much as they can because Disney's a business, multi-billion-dollar corporation. And it's also due to the fact that, like, as what Peyton was saying earlier, that like Marvel doesn't have much competition. So they're just gonna want to keep doing what they can because they can do that. They have the power to push whatever they want. And yeah. When it does suck to the people who like generally like, I mean, I going back to the MCU fatigue, I feel like, yeah, you don't have to like watch all these things like, as soon as they come out. You can take a break, you can take what, like, as much time as you want, but still, like, yeah, you can always like watch, whenever you can. And with that, I think it's, I mean, it's definitely a double-edged sword. Like, we're grateful for all the content that's coming out because we're in a place of the MCU where, like, we never thought this stuff would happen. Like, we never thought of getting a Midnight show, like a Shang-Chi movie. Like, hell, I didn't even think about getting like the Thunderbolts or Echo. And
and I remember thinking it would be so cool if they did Civil War even, and we got
yeah, for sure, yeah.
So we're eating good. It's just, I'm not ungrateful. I still love all the content. I think the only things I didn't like was What If is the only thing I really hated, but no, yeah.
I've enjoyed every single piece of Marvel content to some extent. I even the one that I dislike the most is the Incredible Hulk, but even then, there's like elements to that movie where I'm like, that's fun.
I love that movie. No, that's in my like. I love that movie. I don't know. Iron Man 2 is one of my favorites just because of Justin Hammer.
He's
I think
fantastic.
Justin Hammer's an amazing character. I did want to say that to tie into the VFX stuff, I know some of the stuff we're talking about was in that article. I don't know, Peyton, did you read that article? I forgot who published it.
I know of the article. I didn't read it entirely. But there's also like several articles now.
So there's a lot of stuff there's just like a lot of information that's coming out. Well, it also broke that like one of the articles, it was like so your point earlier where you were just saying, and I agree with you because it doesn't bother me. Like when Twitter users single out a shitty shot with really terrible color grading and whatever, and they're like, look, this doesn't belong in this movie. It's like, okay, I don't give a shit. But also, I do kind of understand when a visual language of a movie is compromised to where like the entire movie is great, but then, there's one, like Black Panther is the perfect example where the entire movie's visual language is gorgeous. The cinematography is amazing, but and in the trailers though, you see it even looks slightly different. And in this article, I'll just get to the point. This VFX artist was saying, Marvel does reshoots, and they do them without the directors of photography there. So like, there's no cinematographer there. So usually it's these VFX teams who are animating these, like the Black Panther. They literally use this as an example, as like where the physics are wrong. Like the physics are all wrong. The camera's doing movements is never done in the entire movie beforehand, and it completely destroys the director's vision and visual language. It's obvious, and that's why it's so obvious. It's because the director and the cinematographer weren't really involved in that, and so it's painful because on one hand, the VFX team is being abused to do something that is, in the end, contrary to the film's vision and artistic intent. And then on the other hand, it's like, what kind of executive decision, monetary wise, in Marvel at this point, they still love playing it safe, even though they can't really fail. It's like, dude, you don't have any reason to kind of step on that artistic vision. And at the very least, if you're doing reshoots, include the director of photography in the discussion, because again, it's a movie. It's an artistic medium, and it's and while it's made to make money, the other half of it is it's an artistic expression. It's storytelling, and it's an involved thing. The VFX crews are not fully responsible for carrying consistent cinematography. They listen to the cinematographer, and also, I don't know, this one is kind of hearsay. It was around the discussion, so I can't personally like verify this at all, but I remember reading from supposedly a VFX artist that Marvel, and they kind of said a lot of big directors don't want to work with Marvel because before they even hire the director, or when the script is written, they have VFX crews already building the action pieces, already putting them in previs.
I heard that, and I think actually James Gunn said that was bullshit.
Yeah, see, okay, because I James Gunn is he's everything to me. I follow him on Twitter, but I don't know if I saw that. He's basically, I'm at the whim of this man. He's in charge of my S tier characters in the MCU are Star-Lord, Daredevil, Rocket Raccoon, and Kingpin. James Gunn is responsible for 2 of those. So he can do whatever he wants, say whatever he wants, I'll believe it.
Yeah, and I'm glad like you pointed that out of like, just like, artistic vision as well. Cause that has been thing with like Marvel for like the past couple of years, is that like directors not having the the vision that they want. And what's funny is that like that's probably one of the reasons why I love Multiverse of Madness and Love and Thunder so much, because like especially the Multiverse of Madness, because like that's like a Sam Raimi movie, and Sam Raimi is all over that movie.
It is so well directed,
and
it's
like
awesome.
Yeah, and that's when like, because like his creative vision is like it's there, you can see it, and it's funny because how you see Sam Raimi in that movie, it's like the most it's like one of the most divisive movies in the MCU. It's so funny to me.
Because like for me, my only issue is just Wanda, and then everything else in that movie I adore it. It's so good.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely well crafted. Of course, Sam Raimi in his right is like one of the best directors. And that's also one of the reasons why I like Love and Thunder too. Like Love and Thunder is I don't know why it gets so much hate as it does. There is a little like gripes I have with it, but it doesn't break the movie for me.
Dude, no, sorry. I have stuff to say. I love the movie. I'll finish your thing because I have stuff to say about that.
I was gonna say, because like Taika is amazing. Like he's an amazing director and he's an amazing writer. And I feel like I think Payne said this last week, or he said it soon. Like he said it like when we were off air or something. But he was saying how like Taika, like his comedy is like just not it, or like he's fallen off. Just simple like
people saying like
shit.
Taika's humor isn't hitting anymore or whatever. And it's like y'all just like praised him in 2019 for Jojo Rabbit.
It's fascinating to me because it's from my understanding he didn't write Ragnarok.
He did not.
He didn't. No, he didn't.
It's a different beast. I feel like Ragnarok was testing. I would not call that movie a comedy. Love and Thunder to me, and I know people are mad that it's this, but it's a parody of the MCU, and I love that. It's like a Monty Python movie. That's what I want from it. It's still able to handle its story elements well, but
kind of like, a rom-com.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with this. I don't have an issue with the serious aspects taking a back seat, because I don't think that's it. It still manages to be emotionally weighty, even though it's clearly preoccupied with being a comedy first. I mean, dude, nothing beats Russell Crowe as Zeus twirling that lightning bolt around. That is the funniest shit I've seen in a movie.
Oh my god, when he walked down the stairs and like flipped his skirt up.
Yes. That movie is so funny. And like also people complain about the floating head. That was on purpose. I swear to God, that scene, that shot, that CGI was shitty on purpose.
I didn't even think I didn't think anything of it.
No, like I love like there's like an edit of it, and it's so funny. There's like an edit of like an old meme. I'll send it to you. Well, I think I sent it to Peyton before, but it's just it's so fucking hilarious.
Is it the pickle chin head ass boy one?
Yes,
or is it the,
pickle chin head ass
boy.
Yeah, that one. And then my favorite one is just like the fucking like meme generator white text. No, I not.
Yeah,
like on the thing, I was like, oh my god.
Yes, that was amazing. But yeah, like the thing is like even we talked about this whenever we reviewed Love and Thunder. It's like even that like just like how like you said it, Will, it's a rom-com, and like even when the action bits are pushed into the back, it's still filled with like a good amount of action. Christian Bale in his own right did so much. He did.
Yeah.
He was well crafted as gore. He did what he did, and like the thing is like I love the parallel of Gore and Jane, like both having like weapons, in a sense, like giving them would think they would give them life, but just killing them. And I love that. It's very poetic in my opinion.
So both of them having something taken from them too.
Yeah,
like
sure.
poison in their own way.
It's a genuinely beautiful and poignant film, and I think people are just getting so caught up in it's a comedy, it's a joke, like all the time, and it's like I question, like, did you even watch Ragnarok? I mean, I don't want to just regurgitate what I said in the Love and Thunder review, but just a lot of the complaints I just truly did not understand. In sort of a lesser extent, it reminded me of The Last Jedi, and a lot of the complaints you could say the same thing about the original trilogy, but you're gonna praise the original trilogy. It makes no sense to me. But
yeah,
like
it's interesting. It's always a bunch of inconsistencies, and it's always so reductive. It's usually like, okay, I'm gonna reduce this film and completely ignore what it does here, to criticize it for what it does here, even though I acknowledge it was in one of my favorite. What this movie does here that I hate, I loved in this other movie. I don't know. I think like Love and Thunder, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful movie. I mean, look, brothers, I ain't ashamed to say it. I cried. That movie was awesome. And it's just, like, of course it's not perfect. No movie besides Guardians 2, that movie's perfect. No movie's perfect. So,
no comment.
Yeah, no comment on Guardians 2.
Thank you, Peyton. That's smart. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But
including with the comedy stuff, like just going back to the fandom as well, like the fandom just over exaggerates everything. And I know some people think they do it for jokes, but it's like it's not even a joke to me anymore.
Yeah, it starts out as a joke, and then it turns legitimate.
Well, like I find it like annoying. I always like. I mean, I know like Will posted this like the other day. I mean, I know like he knows what I'm talking about. Like like he's definitely joking because he's not like the fandom, but like it's always like I always see on TikTok is like when Daredevil like makes like kind of like a corny ass joke or whatever. And
it sounded better in my head.
And it's also like people just forget that Matt made jokes in the original Netflix series as well. So it's like.
There was some really funny shit in Defenders with him.
It was funny. That's why I love the relationship between him and Jessica Jones.
The comedy, that's the thing. I think a lot of people, whenever they say MCU not serious enough, any serious moment is immediately undercut by comedy. I think it's interesting because it's like, first of all, that's just like blatantly not true, and you can literally just refute it at almost any given point.
Yeah, there's a handful of examples where that's the case, but it's very few and far between.
The only one that got me was Peter and Gamora's reunion being a ball kick. That was the only one in the MCU I ever really took issue with. And then but a lot of most of the humor in the MCU is people reduce it also to like, oh, it's just quippy, bland humor, but it's usually like pretty. And they say that it's interchangeable between characters, but like you guys were saying in the Defenders, like that humor works because the humor comes from the differences in their characters. It's like, I don't think Iron Man's humor is interchangeable from Peter Quill's. I don't think
definitely not.
I don't think, you know, like, I don't think Mark Ruffalo, like, I don't think Bruce Banner's humor is interchangeable with Steve Rogers. It's you know, and I also really resent the notion that, like, oh, if there's comedy, it's immediately like lowbrow, and it's immediately not worthy of like a discussion. And like, oh, dude, like I have so many film bro friends, and it's so crazy because you think like, wow, like maybe these people would actually take the time to sit down and be like, and appreciate these movies to the fullest extent, because there's so much to love, especially if you dig and you get into themes and like, you know, there's so much substance there. And then they're like, no, no, these movies are like literally shit. Like they're not even worth talking about. They're all the same. It's like, you study movies,
bro. Moon Knight, hello,
dude.
Like, psychological, emotional aspect of Moon Knight is so fucking good.
Oh god, Moon Knight is so. And also, dude, the Moon Knight comic dick writers who hate the Moon Knight show is so weird, because there's so, like, what do you mean it's not comic accurate? There's a billion interpretations of Moon Knight. What is this? What do you, dude? It's good that Stephen Grant and Mark are completely different. Like, they also serve such an important thematic function, each of them. Like, I don't know. I think so many people, it's just reductive. Like the thing is when we're having conversations about this stuff, and it's frustrating. It's also obviously their opinion, but I wish that most people would keep in mind, you know, like, you're not really thinking about it too hard if you're unable to be consistent, or at the very least recognize that your inconsistencies are biases, and, like, you know, you can at least appreciate what this film is trying to do. Or if you don't, that's fine, it's your opinion. But I don't know, dude, it's just frustrating because, like, Eternals was, I know it was like hated. I really like it for what it tried to do. Obviously, if it was a show, it would have been the best, it could have been the best MCU franchise, period. But you know, like, it's the same thing as like a lot of prequel lovers, which is insane because I'm a prequel lover. Those are my favorites of the Star Wars movies. It's like prequel lovers will then come and shit on Marvel and say, oh, like, they're just this, or they're all the same, or they're just whatever. And it's like, dude, like, you're fans of, you admit it, like, they have wooden dialogue.
Yeah, you're fans of arguably like the objectively worst Star Wars movie. Yeah. My issues with prequel fans, it's like, I love the prequels for what they are. They're not my favorites except 3. But like, it's my issue with prequel fans. It's like, you love the prequels, but then you go and shit on the sequels as if you're the fans. The thing that you're a fan of is any better.
It's interesting because like for me, I dislike the sequels besides Last Jedi, but I love the prequels. And for me, it comes down to just it's textual, and a lot of it is subtextual, unfortunately. But it's the overarching operatic, like, the political, the rise, realistic and complicated and well thought out rise to fascism, and how well and tragically that's portrayed, and also Anakin's downfall. Like, yeah. and you have to read, and that's my thing is, my point is, if you're reading into the prequels to enjoy them, because you just have to like fully appreciate them, it's like, why can't you just give the same level of critical thought to Marvel or anything you watch? You know, just think about it. Yeah. You know, at least try to like it.
Yeah, with like, when it comes to the prequels, yeah, like episode 1 and 2 I think are garbage. But like episode 1, I think the story's fine, but it's just painfully boring. Episode 2, it's mainly just the god awful dialogue, and the whole Anakin Padme stuff I think is atrocious. Yes. But outside of that, like Obi-Wan going to Kamino and stuff, awesome.
It's a thrill. It's noir. I love that detective movie.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
And episode 3 is episode 3. I don't think I got to explain myself there. Like, when it comes to the sequels, I like episode 7. I think it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's episode 4 remastered, but they had to play it safe. I understand the decision, but it's a lot of fun. Episode 8, love it. Episode 9 sucks. But like, even in episode 9, I still think there's a lot to love there. That Ben's arc, love it. But you know, taking that to the MCU, you know, a lot of the prequel fans, you know, they got to admit it. Lots of nostalgia there. Like, yeah, like the whole politics and the inner workings and stuff. You know, yeah, you got to read deeper into that, and you know, comics and other shows and whatever. But on a surface level, it's mostly nostalgia. Sure. And now that's transferring over to the MCU. People are acting like Phase 4 is the worst thing ever, as if Phase 1 wasn't, you know, also very hit or miss. Like, when you look at most people's MCU lists, Thor 1, Thor 2, Iron Man 2 are generally towards the bottom of these lists. And like,
Thor 1 will always be my favorite Thor movie.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, Thor and I also agree. It's underrated. Absolutely, it's underrated. But generally speaking,
it is cool Dutch angles, yes, but it is awesome.
But generally speaking, it's towards the bottom of people's lists. And it's like, it's like people are acting like Phase 1 and Phase 2 were like perfect. And like, obviously, most people are incorrectly comparing Phase 4 to Phase 3. It's not going to be, if you're going to compare anything to Phase 3, compare Phase 6 or maybe even Phase 5 to Phase 3. But it's not comparable. They're not the same.
And the thing is too, like, I'm glad I saw like a comment like, you know, like that. It's like about like, you know, like what you said, like either off air or on the podcast. It's like, if some of these movies came out today, they'd fucking hate it. Like, they would fucking hate this shit. And it's also one of the facts, like kind of like what you just said, how people claim that Phase 1 and Phase 2, like, were just, you know, just these masterpieces when they had, like, I mean, hate to use this word, but they just had some horrible films. Like, some of the films in there were just not good.
Bro, imagine Iron Man 2 today. Like, it comes out and there's the scene with Natalie Rushman and she leaves and Tony's like, I want one. That would not fly.
Yeah, that shit would not. And it's also just one of the things, like, what I love about Phase 4 is that it's definitely the most diverse and yet experimental phase of it, of like all the phases. You know, we have so many different genres of like content. You know, you have like your horror from Doctor Strange, you have your like coming of age from Miss Marvel, you have your psychological from Moon Knight, and you have your you know, your overall, like, you know, action adventure like Shang-Chi and stuff like that.
Even that has mystical elements.
Yeah, mystical elements from sure. And then you have like, you know, your like historical, like, you know, ages from like Eternals. And it's just like there's so much to choose from.
Well, I've seen several TikToks now, and unfortunately going to the comment, it's like I shouldn't be doing. A lot of people are agreeing, and I want to get an opinion. I see a lot of people saying that, and I think just based on the Phase 5 reveal, I think they're already wrong. But at least when it comes to Phase 4, I see a lot of people saying that Marvel is sort of, instead of growing up with their audience, they're sort of staying in this sort of like a kid lane. You know what I mean? Instead of because, you know, all the people that grew up with it are getting older like us, like we're going to be in our mid-20s or whatever, and it's like all this stuff is still sort of geared towards, you know, kids, you know, Illumawati.
Illumawati.
So
yeah, the Illumawati's awesome. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but
I completely disagree. But yeah, I wanted to.
Yeah, there's like just a lot to like really dissect from this, and like I said, in hindsight, this is going to be a good phase, and like what, you know, Will said, there's always going to be an opportunity for them to fix what they had or could have, you know, been in you know, Phase 4, you know, with other characters and stuff like that. So I mean, I have really nothing else to say, like, other than this fandom's fucking garbage.
Yeah, dude, I'll just be honest. In general, I like fandom is like when you're looking for community and what you're faced with is just like it's just tribalism and a bunch of like, oh, dude, like like let's hold ourselves up and our opinions up by just shitting on every other opinion. It's exhausting. It's exhausting just how negative it is, you know?
Yeah,
Not to be toxically positive, because I do believe that there's toxic positivity, you know, but
Yeah.
it's, you know, the negativity is poisonous. It's awful.
yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've seen the comment section where like someone would just be like, you know, for example, someone would be like, I love Eternals, and someone would just be like, no, with like, you know, the skull emoji, and then you just get fucking ratioed. It's like, come on, bro. Like, it's not that serious.
Yeah,
And
it's like let people enjoy things. It's not that
yeah,
difficult.
and like when people even say like in the comments, like, I just enjoy everything. Like I even told Peyton this, like someone said like, you know, I just enjoy like, you know, like everything. And someone replied to him saying like, like, bro, if you can't criticize things, it'll never get better. And
No critical thinking skills.
yeah, I literally said like it's okay to like things and to criticize them without hating. And I fucking ratioed that bitch. It's just like, bro, yeah, like, you know, like let people enjoy things. It's okay to not like things. It's okay to like not like, you know, things. It's just like, you gotta have a reason why you don't like things. That's the main thing.
Yeah, it always pisses me off when people just like hate for no reason, or just hate people who are just innocently enjoying something. It just sucks the joy out of everything. I feel like I've said it on the podcast before, but like the way the amount of joy was sucked out of me after I got out of The Last Jedi. When I got out of The Last Jedi, I was like, holy shit. This movie was fucking incredible. I was like, this is the best Star Wars movie since Empire. I'm fucking loving this. I get on Twitter, worst mistake. Like the joy was just sucked out of me like completely, and I was like, I had to go to like some sort of some party afterwards, and I was just like sitting there, just like,
yeah, dude,
like fuck.
It really fucking sucks too. Like, and it's just like it really does suck when like you generally like a project, or like you think there's something good to come out of it, and it's just you see straight hate. That's kind of, I mean, not like. And I try not to let that shit like, you know, get to me, like to where like, you know, it never damages like a project for me, but it's also just like, damn, like you think people will like love this movie and they just don't. And it's like, wow, like y'all are so negative, you know, so fucking miserable.
I
And
just hate how stupid it sucks, because I internalize it, right? And like I try my hardest not to, but I'll be honest, like when I talk to a friend and we just get out of a movie together and I'm like, wow, that was amazing. Like, I love this. And they were like, I'm already kind of I'm bracing for like a negative interaction, you know?
Same.
It's like, I don't know. It makes me feel, sometimes I think because of the internet and because of fandom or whatever, I feel stupid for liking what I like. I mean, I'll still yell it like off fucking like mountaintops. Like, I love this shit, you know? I'll never stop posting irreverently to my story ever. Like, that's my favorite thing to do. I love this shit. But God, man, it's like definitely discouraging.
Yeah. I was telling Torin about this tweet I saw. Like someone was saying like, when it came to like someone shitting on something you like, and someone said, why do you care so much about what someone else thinks? And I was like, I don't know, because we shouldn't. Like, the fact that we like it and they don't, good for us. That's more things for us to enjoy. That's more positivity in our lives. You know what I mean? Like, but just, I don't know, something about seeing someone just dunk on something that you like is just so disheartening for really no reason.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's also just one of the things where it's like, it's always nice having like that connection with like somebody, no matter like if it's like a friend or like a stranger, and to like see that they, you know, they don't have the same like, you know, love for that project as we do. It does get kind of like, you know, discouraging, because I even like spoke with like a friend the other day, and like, no like hate to her or whatever, because, you know, we kind of like just saw, it's something that's civil, but she does not like Love and Thunder. She called it trash. And she said that how like in the theater she just wasn't like excited for it, because like, I guess, you know, of course she had like expectations and they weren't met, which like, I don't know what she was expecting, but I gave her my opinion on like why things the way they were. And of course, she's always like, she comes like in a different, she takes my perspective into consideration, but it's also just one of the things. It's like, damn, like you call that shit trash. And it's also just one of the things sort of going back to like when people exaggerate things like, using like non-Marvel content or whatever. It's like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. And God, like, I just forbid myself like to not say, like, I want to go to that person and just say, please watch more movies with the most pretentious thing ever. But it's also just like, damn, like, I can't do this right now. It's like, I got to get off the internet. It's also just one of the reasons of like TikTok. And I hate to always keep this name in my mouth, but it's also just like the Soups effect. Just all this toxic like criticism and like shit like that. One of the reasons why people don't like freaking Obi-Wan as much as it was, because I feel like it's one of the reasons of that creator and like his circle.
And Star Wars theory.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch Star Wars series much as anymore, but yeah, it's just like, yeah, just the overall like nature of like TikTok and Twitter just blatantly hating things. It's just very like, it's definitely just very like emotionally draining.
Yeah, man.
So
I also really hate I hate when I see this in reviews a lot. It's like it doesn't add anything to the larger MCU. I resent that it has to. I resent that like nothing is. And first of all, the fact that it just being its own intimate thing, separate from most of the larger story or even entirely the larger story, is like, who cares? I mean, because Moon Knight has nothing to do with anything doesn't mean that I don't.
Oh my God. I'm
love
sorry.
it.
I'm sorry. I'm really glad you brought this up, because I literally sent a voice message to Peyton, just me screaming. Yeah, because yeah, I'm glad you said that, because people like, there's one thing about the fandom is that they're always ready to switch up, and they contradict themselves so much. I remember like years ago, like, after Endgame, even before Endgame, they're like, I want more stories that don't have to tie in with the MCU, right? And we get the announcement of Spider-Man freshman year at Comic-Con with like just uploaded and updated just content. And when it wasn't confirmed that, or when it was confirmed that it wasn't going to be the MCU, I've never seen the switch up so fast. People were like, I don't know if I want to watch this now. Oh wow, I was excited for a Tom origin story, and I'm like, what is up with you people and having just a hard on for origin stories? Like, it's okay for us to have something that isn't connected to the MCU. Not everything has to be connected to the MCU. And it's like, and how that even makes sense anyways. How is like Tom Holland Spider-Man, who's gonna be fighting Doc Ock, like how is that gonna be connected in any way to the MCU? And maybe in a multiverse, but like it doesn't have to happen. Like, it's okay for that to be its own thing. And it's just like, oh my God, it's just annoying.
Yeah, anytime I see like every post I see, whether it's on Twitter or TikTok or Reddit, and someone's like, the it doesn't feel connected, it doesn't seem like there's any end goal, which is obviously different now since they announced the phase 5 and phase 6. But prior to that, including what Torn was talking about with freshman year, anytime I see a comment like that, I just reply, good. I think Kevin's really, his ultimate goal is to essentially make the MCU like the comics, in that, yeah, you have these movies that, will connect and, get to the larger thing, but there's also these just little side stories that have nothing to do with anything, and they have their own little world.
They're most of the content though, which is great, because it's like, it makes the moments where they come together more special. But also, like, dude, I do not care that Spider-Man didn't cameo in Moon Knight. I just don't give a shit, because I'm not there for him. I'm sorry. I'm not there to watch Moon Knight to be like, oh my God, wonder what Kang is going to do next. Like, yeah. I'm just sick of that shit,
Yeah, and also I feel like that's also like an argument for the MCU fatigue argument, like where people are always consistently thinking about what's going to be tied to the MCU and like how the argument of like, oh, shouldn't have to do homework to like figure out what's going to happen, which is kind of like bound to happen when you even just watch like a cinematic universe, a franchise, or even a series.
I mean, look at Star Wars.
Oh,
yeah.
Like the fact there's so many people that are like with Ahsoka, they're like, oh, I'm gonna have to watch Rebels. I'm gonna have to watch an animated show. Get over yourself.
Dude, imagine thinking, oh man, I it's so crazy because that's the best of Star Wars in my opinion is Clone Wars. And you're like, you're just you're shitting on it because it's a kid's show.
If they edited together and packaged the Siege of Mandalore arc into like a movie, best Star Wars movie in my opinion.
There's an edit, and I have it on my Google Drive. Madman's Knowledge put it together, and it's a cut of Episode 3 and the Siege of Mandalore arc together.
I heard about that.
And it's cut gorgeously. It's cut so amazingly, and it's just so emotional. It's such an amazing fucking payoff altogether for the Clone Wars and the entirety of the Star Wars saga. It's amazing.
And like, I mean, going back to like what I was saying is that like, if like when people are like complaining about like, MCU fatigue, it's like, it's like, they shouldn't have to like watch a million things to like get what they're saying, that's why these shows, that's what some of these shows are for. Like, the I Am Groot show, going back to like one of my friends, she was saying like, why is this even like being made? I'm like, cause like, why not? It's a cute little show. Like, I mean, who doesn't want to see like, Groot go on like an adventure? Like it's cute. Like it doesn't have to like be anything. It doesn't.
No, sorry, finish your thing. But there's another big thing that ties into this that I.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay, well, I really hate. I used to be like a big proponent of this. I used to every time I talked about storytelling, it's like, well, I hate the idea of unnecessary story to tell because no story is necessary to tell. There are, of course, stories that weren't being told more than others. I'd say Obi-Wan Kenobi is a show that warranted being told over Baby Groot show. But just because one is more warranted than the other doesn't mean that either of them are more necessary. Like I hate that. I hate that it's like, dude, it's so unnecessary. Like we don't need, it's not unnecessary in like a real way. It's not like it's redundant. It doesn't detract anything. It only adds. And just because you don't like what it adds to it, or just because whatever it adds is just, even if it's unsubstantial, even if it's generally almost objectively is unsubstantial, it's still like Baby Groot, I Am Groot is not going to detract from anything at all. And dude, I mean, I hate Baby Yoda. I hate Minions. I hate the Marvel things. I hate them. Like, Baby Groot is cute, but he still gets on my nerves. He only gets a pass because he's a Guardian. It's just like, I don't have an issue with that show being made, dude. They could literally make a show about Baby Yoda, and I would dislike it, and I'd roll my eyes, but I think it would be stupid to shit on everyone who was excited for it.
Exactly.
Or just shit on it for even existing, which is unfair.
Yeah, just to bring it back to Phase 4 a bit, as far as like its quality and people, it's like Torn was saying, is the word, like people are calling like everything's mid or whatever. That's people's opinions, whatever. But it's like, personally, I've enjoyed most of the stuff that's in Phase 4. Like, there's only 2 Phase 4 movies that has made it into my top 10. And that's fine. Like, not everything has to be top 10 material, you know what I mean? But some of the Phase 4 stuff is some of my favorite things in the MCU. Like WandaVision or Multiverse of Madness, Hawkeye, Shang-Chi, Moon Knight. Like, I love them so much. And they might not be the best things in the MCU. If Phase 4, all that stuff, there's only 2 that are below my top 20, and that's Eternals and Falcon and Winter Soldier. And even then, I still like those. Like, it's the quality. I don't think people give it enough credit.
I think that also, you know, I will get into like, I don't know. I don't want to be super negative, but like I think that when it comes to judging this content, I feel like too many people kind of project their preconceived expectations onto this due to like, like the Seuss effect, like Torm was saying, or like, oh, because they believe that there was some unwritten precedent, and yes, there are precedents that it makes sense to build expectations from, because but as long as they're within the MCU, certain things like character arcs, there's certain things like portrayals like that, but like for example, like for me, the reason I really don't like What If at all, and it's the only Marvel thing I really like actively just dislike in general, is like its potential was, hey, like let's do something that's never been done before. We could go off the walls crazy, and it ended up being um, a bunch of stories like that connected at the end and for another Infinity Saga to a lesser effect. And there were episodes like T'Challa Star-Lord, I think is terrible. I think it like
Yeah.
for me, it's like, dude, the people who wrote this episode are just giving the people who think Peter Quill is stupid like a pat on the back, and they're like, "Hey, we're sorry for Infinity War," even though he was acting in character, and it's a totally
Absolutely
human thing to
agreed.
do.
Hate that argument.
It's so stupid. It was so in character. It was such an emotional. I would have done that, dude. Are you kidding me? That's
It's
the
like
only
they
woman
didn't
he's
watch.
ever loved.
It's like they didn't watch the end of Guardians when he just straight up shoots his dad like immediately.
Yes, that's his thing. It's established. It's the only person he's ever loved as much as his mother, and so that's just how he would act, right? And then Marvel's still apologizing for it. And they clear the people who wrote T'Challa Star-Lord, they wrote him as Space Jesus. He's flawless, and like I think it's disrespectful even to Chadwick's character T'Challa, and I also think it's disrespectful to Peter Quill. It's just like it's such a weird, bizarre episode, and the zombie episode is like it's like Bucky. You're giving him lines, you're writing him completely out of character. He stone cold after he kills a zombified version of Steve is like, guess this is the end of the line. Bucky would have imagine like,
and,
dude,
and
Bucky
Ant-Man
would
when
not do
Wasp
that.
died.
Yes, and when Hope died, yeah, or Bucky saying, "I know it should be sad that Sam died, but I'm not." He literally word for word said, "I know it should be sad, but I'm not." Like that is so insane. I feel like, especially for Steve, like he would have froze. I feel like imagine, and not to judge it on something that it isn't, right? I still believe that I'm judging it fairly because it misrepresented a character, in my opinion. But you could imagine the alternate scenario of Bucky freezing and not saving someone who was attacked and infected by Steve because he just couldn't kill Steve.
Exactly.
He's able to act like on almost immediately like a robot, like a machine on anything else, but it's Steve. Steve is the person who went to war for him 3 fucking times, dude. Steve has shown Bucky love like no one else ever has in his entire life. And he's his brother. And so it's just like God. Like I don't know. It was just and I do love the animation and I love bits and things, but like man, the potential that it had versus hey, let's just do an Infinity Saga but worse, and also cut an episode, and also because we were rushed because Marvel rushing, and I don't know, that's just my thing. I know I went on to this big negative rant, but I needed an avenue to say that.
No, that's fair. Like, what if I liked What If? It wasn't my favorite thing in the MCU, but I thought it was cool. But yeah, the zombies episode. I mean, Torn knows, not a fan.
Yeah, he does not like it.
The only character I thought was really done right was Vision. Like that made perfect sense.
Yes. Spider-Man is weird.
Yeah.
And they think that they got a pass because of the Uncle Ben thing. They didn't.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they mentioned enough. Uncle Ben finally. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah. It's oh man.
I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of shit, man. But like, I mean, like I said, there's always going to be criticisms, and we're aware of that. But like I said, all criticism isn't good criticism. But I'm grateful for the stuff that we've gotten and we're continue to get. And because like I mean, we haven't fully been able to like I mean, all the stuff that we're getting is that something that we didn't even think about getting like years and years ago. So I'm just grateful that of all the stuff that we're eating, and I think like just this is like definitely something for us to like not think so hard of the negativity, even though it's gonna be right in our faces at all times. But still, yeah, I have nothing else to really say.
Yeah, we should probably start wrapping it up. Does any closing thoughts? Closing thoughts. Anyone for closing thoughts? MCU fatigue.
I fucking hate both of you, and this sucked. No, I'm just kidding. I was gonna say, no, for real though. Yeah, man. Bottom line, I am so excited for Daredevil and Blade. Oh my god.
Oh
Blade,
my god, that's amazing.
Dude, we're getting Blade in the MCU, bro.
Played by Mahershala Ali.
Dude, Mahershala Ali is he's a god, man. And that is just a god tier casting. Even though he was an amazing villain in Luke Cage. Yes, he was amazing. And definitely that season declined when he died. But
yeah, man.
Mahershala Ali is amazing chops. So I guess my closing thoughts, I'm very excited for the future of the MCU. And even though I may be a bit concerned, kind of, I'm eating well, you know.
You're
and
cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, like there's nothing I don't like. Like MCU, it's awesome because it's just like at the very worst, with the exception of What If, at the very worst, it's like, oh, it's good, but like it's never like, oh, this is outright trash or this is outright bad. There's always like, this is good but this, you know? So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. But is that the show?
I think that's the show.
All right. Thank you for listening to the Avengers podcast. If you want to follow us, we're at Avengers on Twitter. That's AVENGE nerds, all one word. If you want to follow either one of us, you can reach me at nowhere. Just follow our Instagram. Please, just follow our Instagram. And where can they reach you?
They can reach me at @Zenith_ on Twitter. Will, can they reach you anywhere?
They can reach me places. I'm most active on Instagram. It's 2rock, the words 770. And that's where you can find me on Instagram.
Sounds good. We have a Discord if you'd like to join the conversation there. Those would be linked in the show notes. You can check out our link tree for any additional links you may be interested in. You can also review the show in-app on Apple Podcasts. If you can leave 5 stars in review, it will really help us out. Thanks for listening to the Avengers podcast. We'll see you next week. Thanks for Will joining us.
Thanks to Will for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
You should definitely see him in more review or more podcasts soon.
That would be awesome. Bye, everyone.
All right.
Later.